Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of man, no man to get a job. And I'm coming to our guest now, Mr. Alex. What are your thoughts on this, especially juxtaposing that with what the lawmaker had said outrightly over the social media?
Okay, so in terms of the lawmaker, it's kind of complicated anyway. So, but the point is this: I've noticed that we have started normalizing error in our society. For me, I have a dream for Nigeria, and my dream is very simple. We need to be able to restore merit in our society. Because you go through school, spend 6 years, I mean, of course, probably 16 years in school, and you had first class, and somebody has third class, and the same job both of you applied for, the person with third class is already getting that job. And sometimes they put it to your face that I'm going to get the job before you. And you are sitting at home for 5 years without a job, knowing that, what? Because you don't know somebody. Is this what we want to normalize because you're not a politician? That's absolutely wrong. So when we see something that is wrong, we need to know it. Then secondly, the one that is even more painful for me is this. You're a medical student. You spent your entire years in school. To get an ordinary internship placement, you are being asked to pay 400,000, whether you made first class or not. I mean, whether you aside from MBBGS, in terms of like with medical lab, pharmacy, and the rest, you have to pay for state or federal university and federal teaching hospitals. Why should you pay?
Maybe to reduce the numbers of people, because there are lots of people trying to get
No,
in. So I'm just trying to see.
That is absolutely wrong. You want to work in immigration, you have to pay. Police, you have to pay. CBN, you have to pay. I'm even hearing that CBN can even pay as much as 8 million to get a slot. So how do you expect to pay to come into a system? And you wouldn't want to steal and get your money back.
That's it.
So that's why it's important that we restore merit in our system. If you work hard, you should have an expectation. When you say school is a scam, why is it a scam? Because I know that if I waste my time studying to be able to make a first class, I can get this job. So what's the point? I would just rather go and learn trading earlier on and stop wasting my time. So that is why we need to, so these things are wrong. Whether it's been normalized for several years, that doesn't make it right.
So the point you're making right now makes sense, but I'm talking about so that happens. But the reality is, wherever you are in the world, somebody knows somebody. So when you go to a different country where you see the regular citizens, you have to go through the system that is in place. But there's a higher level that you might never get to. The levels of maybe Trump's children or Elon Musk's children, they are in a different level where it's about, okay, you might not get a first class, but because I know Trump as my friend, or I know, what are the rich guys' names? One of any of those big names, right? Bezos' family members. I say, go and work for Jeff, because we have that relationship. So there's that level. That happens.
Let me tell you something. Whether Elon, whether Jeff, whether Trump, look at their academic qualifications of those children. See, those jobs they are in, trust me, they are actually qualified to be there. So when you see that, when two people are equal and somebody have like an undue advantage, maybe because of your political position, of your family influence, that is understandable, right? But a situation whereby you made first class, you are qualified to be here to add value. Somebody made third class or even managed to graduate. You people are not even in near par. So if you take the third class ahead of the first class, which message are you trying to pass?
Let me take this call, Nneka. I'll come back to you. Good morning. Thanks for calling, Nneka. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Okay. Your topic is very interesting.
Go ahead, Nneka.
I just have my reservation because I won't say Nigeria has actually failed us, but Nigeria has failed me. I know when I worked in the bank, I worked with a financial institution, and I worked there for 12 years before COVID-19 happened. When I went out to seek for a job in different organizations, I went somewhere, I don't want to mention the organization's name. When I got there, I was told to bring 3 million naira to be able to get the job. The person just told me, said, look at, I will just put your name here. Do you understand the situation of the country? I went to another organization, I was told, you don't belong to our cabal or something like that. In my very before, don't mind my English, in my presence, someone was giving an appointment letter that cannot even sign signature. She was asking someone beside to help her to sign signature. This is the corruption in this country that I don't even understand.
Neka, let me pause you for a second. I want you to correct yourself, because those are Nigerians that did that to you, not Nigeria. So Nigerians who did that to you are the corrupt people. The nation Nigeria didn't do that to you. I hope you understand the difference.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I
All
do.
right, so we'll discuss it now. Coming back to, so that's the Nigerian speaking, who went to a random company and they're asking her to pay 3 million naira. Now that is illegal. That is wrong. That's what we're talking about, the racketeering. That in itself is illegal. And I didn't want us to mix that up with man, no man, because that's where my own confusion is.
Is it like you can use the word recommendation?
Recommendation.
No, recommendation is normal, right? But
I can have a preference because I know you and I know your skill. I know your even though Toby is qualified, she's a first class. And I say, okay, for this job, I think I'd rather go on Alex because I know him and I can.
Recommendation is a global practice.
Exactly.
Right? But there are some jobs that going through the process becomes critical, especially when it has to do with medical or engineering. You can't use because you know somebody and be able to do something that create, like for instance, what happened with Boeing that they had a lot of issues. It's because of things like this. So there are areas that you don't take those things to, right? So this is one thing that we need to know the difference.
I mean, ladies want to jump in here?
So I hear you, which is why earlier on I spoke about context, that, you know, in certain cases, it might not be it might not have so much of far-reaching consequences if someone comes recommended and comes on board, as long as they have proven themselves that they are a perfect fit, they are proficient, they have the requisite skills to actually take up that job. That's different. But in certain other spaces, which you've just mentioned, like maybe in the military, for instance, or maybe in education, you absolutely have to go, you know, through due process. But so my question is, we know for a fact, we're not disputing here that we know that corruption happens, racketeering happens. I just, from the very, you know, sketchy information that this lawmaker gave, I couldn't prove beyond reasonable doubt that she went and just picked people and put them in position. If that happened, then of course what she has done is blatantly wrong.
But what I'm even in that one, so the truth of the matter is, I mean, I've seen such applications before. And what I normally say is, do you know anybody that got 2-1 in engineering? Do you know anybody that got this? And people will start rushing for this. So at the end of the day, it may actually be the most qualified people that she picked.
Yeah, so that's why I actually don't like talking about people. I like to, we can reference it and then pack it and then talk about, focus on the issue exactly. Abigail, want to jump in?
So I was going to say that most of the time you see the decay in the society. For instance, when I was in the in camp, National Youth Service Corps, I understood that most of those high staff, they have slots. So because one of the staff of the camp at Ekiti actually found me interesting, he asked me where I wanted to serve, and I told him, okay, this is where I wanted to serve, because he had the slot. Now, he was able to recommend me because of what I did in camp. So you can't fault him for that, because he had the slot, and he has someone that could fit in that slot. Now, what I was going to say is, sometimes when we give people jobs that are not deserving, that's where we start looking for expectations, and that's why you start having issues of, do you know who I am? Negligence in duties, and most of the time they don't even know what they are there for. And then you just see that when you say civil service, they just go sit down in the office from morning till night, wasting the our resources. Meanwhile, there are people actually looking to fill up that space that can actually make a difference. So that's the only thing I think we want to take it.
Yes, I want to take Gania's been holding. Good morning, Gania. Thanks for calling. You're live.
All right. Good morning, Mariah. Good morning, the rest of the crew.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm a first-time caller and I'm also a recruiter.
Nice.
Okay, so my own perspective to this issue is that I believe that irrespective of, there's different recruitment processes, and I believe that people still get qualified people that merit jobs, they still get it. In the organization where I work, we don't give room for nepotism, and I have a couple of several organizations like that I know that you work in, you apply, and you get the job if you merit it. So we don't generalize issues. I believe that there's still room for meritocracy, you know.
Yeah.
We still embrace it in some parts of Nigeria, irrespective of the fact that in government sector, we could say maybe among the politicians, they give room for nepotism, and you can't really blame them. Because, for instance, if you have a councillor or a house of maybe a member of House of Representatives or something, you have to fight for his constituency. Because when the person leaves that seat, those are the things that will speak for him or her.
Okay, thank you very much, Gania. There's an angle we've not touched, which I'll go on a short break because I want us to think about it. Our natural tendency of trying to refer those we know. So, for example, there are various groups: the Christian group, the Muslim group, the Yoruba group, the Shekiri group, the RCCG, everybody has he's a member of our church now. He's a church member, and that's I want to say natural because we all have those small clusters.
Yeah, but no, this particular
and we always do it because we feel that.
But what you're talking about is actually not even a Nigerian problem. It's actually a world problem. I mean, if a British person sees a British person, even in a job that the Nigerian is more, of course, they'll definitely pick a British person first. So that one is different. Where I have big problem in, when people have to pay, right? And people who don't have money,
lose out
who are way qualified, are being denied of these opportunities. For me, that is even where my big problem is. Recommendations, you absolutely cannot stop it. It happens everywhere, right? But for this one that people are forced to pay is what I will never
So for us
accept.
to describe a very robust conversation, we need to start naming some of these people. Let me go on a short break. We'll come back because I don't understand how I have not really experienced it, but stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.